grocery brand called Brahmins.
Yes,
If you're in the US, you would have seen it. It's called Brahmins.
Brahmins.
Yeah, that is manufactured by a Muslim company in Kerala, but he's just trying to take advantage of the marketing situation there. But Brahmanism is a whole different subject that we need to handle separately. That's a universal problem, not just within America. So we will have to find a way to to organize against it, and for the time being, we will have to see if we can legislate against it in the United States. But that's definitely a huge issue. Um,
Can I add a point? Can I add a
I
point?
I just want to actually mention that, like, even in the Tamil community, who we say proudly that we actually give away the caste names. The caste-based discrimination has not ended. It's just as evil as it is in the North India. And the people who have actually come from Tamil community and here in US, who actually have their child being born in US, I have seen in a lot of cases they are actually giving the caste name back to their children. This is kind of like going back like 2000 years after making some little progress. That's still worrying.
Not
I
just the
I
names
just
and
want to
the
add a
thoughts
point.
and the ideology is also getting injected. Like the kid is like trying to find friends in the same community. It's so rude.
Actually, there's a lot of propaganda going on back in India. It's like Brahmins are getting so oppressed, so they are reviving all the scriptures and they are like arguing with like when people are converting to Buddhism and all, they are trying to say that Buddhism is basically Brahmanism and it's nothing new, and Buddha is a Kshatriya elitist and all that. And now, even now in Clubhouse, there was a discussion going on from a house called Brahmin and Friends, and the discussion topic is Manusmriti verse by verse. I don't know why people are still studying such texts with such reverence. I don't know.
that is giving a different
Could
effect.
could I could I please add to what Jen said, sir?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it I'll beg your indulgence for the first minute or so because it might be you might seem like what are we even talking about, but you've heard me talk about the economic roots of fundamentalism leading up to the Indian partition, if you remember. So I'll try to sort of make a point here, which I think more of you could probably put your minds to and sort of twist and turn over. So Vladimir Putin, you know, you've seen him interfere in the U.S. elections, and he's in Syria, and he's in Ukraine, and he's everywhere. He is messing up with global geopolitics on a scale that one did not expect the USSR after its disintegration too. But why is he able to do that? Is because all the assets of the Russian state got concentrated in a few oligarchical setups. They control 80, 85, 90% of all of the resources, which is why, so even though they claim to be a democracy, they continue to meddle with democracies all across the world to make Western democracy seem like a flawed idea. So you had them trying to influence the Trump election. You had them, they're interfering it every which way. And so one would think maybe Russia has all that much money, which is why they're able to do this. But no, the Russian economy is the size of the Dutch economy. And do you see Holland being able to interfere in global affairs the way Putin is? So why is this so? The issue is the concentration of assets, and that is what is happening in India. With oligarchy firmly, on its oligarchy is practically here, and because they need a one-party state to sustain themselves, they are funding this entire narrative on a scale never seen before. So while we're debating individual communities and practices that are not desirable, but this is all coming from a certain taps which have been let loose, because only if Hindus embrace Brahminical Hinduism and you practically end up with a one party state, even though in name you may continue being a democracy, this narrative will just keep unfolding further and further. So until the oligarchy here in India is broken, uh, or we find some way to stop it, I don't see this ending anytime soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Amit. Hey, we will go to Anbu Arivu. Before that, I want to give a couple of minutes to Naomi. She's back. Naomi, you have not said your views
Yeah,
about this
Shant,
topic,
I
so
have
please
a I
go ahead.
have a question to ask. Can I go ahead? Because
Yeah,
it's a quite basic question.
who is this talking?
This is Vasumati. I am from Tamil Nadu.
Can you wait for your turn, Vasumati? There's a long list of people ahead of you. If you can wait a little bit longer, it'll be great. We will get to you quickly. Okay? Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Sant, I'm just listening to everyone because a lot of this is kind of new information for me.
you. Yeah.
So I'm just happy to listen, and I'll happily yield my time to the next person
Yeah,
who's
and
in
don't
the queue.
hesitate to bring down your cudgel when you have to. Okay.
I won't. I won't.
All right. Zen, are you done, or did you go through? But Anbu has been waiting for a while, so let him go first, and then I'll go to you, Zen.
Okay.
Anbu, please go ahead.
No problem. If Zen want to finish, let him finish. Then I will start
Okay,
because
go
he's
ahead, Zen. Please go ahead.
Okay. Earlier, Manoj said that Indians are a very I mean the Indian hierarchy is a very oppressed community, and actually Naomi has given like proper points to counter that, because whatever happened to India, even Indians are responsible for that, because as she said, it was like almost princely states and they were fighting each other. There were a lot of infighting and caste problems and all that, so it was easy to invade India. So it was not like you can he cannot compare the black oppression with Indian oppression, what happened in India, and it is completely a strawman argument. And yeah, that was my point. Actually, it was already explained. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Zen. Much appreciated. Okay, Arivu, yours.
yeah. Thank you. So I would like to start with like what is first of all Hinduism. Officially, it says like anything other than Christian and Muslim is Hinduism, which itself is like for me is a very dim narrative. Because in India, you have like a lot of religions and sub-religions which has been encompassed into Hindu, and the Hinduism is borrowing all the traditions and all other good things, and it is propagating it as itself like a Hindu thing. So we starting from this, like I would like to add from what Richard told. I feel like yoga is one of the most, ever used thing where they like to spread this Hinduism and this Hindu extremism. Basically, it starts with meditation, enlightenment, all that being said as one side. But through that, this narrative of Brahmanism, everything is spread not only within India, but it is spread through all the other people as well, like Western culture, American people. And one of the main things which I feel is like the religious organization, like the governments from Sadhguru, Art of Living, all these ISKCON. So they say they open the branches here and they set a narrative here, like what is Hinduism, and it is all like one side of the narrative. That's what I personally feel. And through this, like I would like to quote a personal experience which I have encountered. So I also come from the place where we hesitate to use caste names at our name. So I have done an intercaste marriage. My wife is from another caste, and her uncle is living here. The RSS ideology is not like as we think through. It is very, 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 very. They're clear in spreading this extremic thoughts, not only for the elder people. It is personally like I have seen this through. They're starting right from their kids. So my uncle's kid, he is a person.